Okay guys, so we've made a few videos on all the new stuff we've seen with Diablo 4. From the interview with the developers that revealed a lot of interesting things about the endgame, like the Paragon system, and the Necromancer reveal video, which we broke down to look at all the different skills the Necromancer has. But here in this video, we have new Necromancer gameplay, which we'll be watching here and seeing if there's anything new with the Necromancer that we haven't already seen yet. I just want to pause the video real quick and say that this video has a lot of other interesting things that we weren't expecting, like some skills that I haven't seen before for the Sorceress and Barbarian, as well as some cool Diablo 4 world stuff like with the monsters and enemies. But yeah guys, sorry, I just wanted to pause and say that as well, that this just won't be purely a Necromancer video. I'm going to be watching this video without any audio because the video has a bunch of commentary on it and I really don't want to listen to it. So instead we're just going to watch it without audio and then I'll give my input if you guys care to hear that. So let's get started. So right off the bat, we don't really see anything new that we haven't already seen. We see a bunch of corpse explosions, him swinging his scythe, casting the, I believe that's the Blight ability, some bone spirits. I wonder how many primary abilities classes are going to have, because it seems this scythe ability that he's using seems like they show it off a lot. Like it's the normal go-to attack for the Necromancer. I'm just going to pause for a second. Because you know in like Diablo 3, a lot of the classes have access to, what is it like? You have like quite a few primary attacks, like, you know, your resource generating abilities. And so far, we haven't really seen that many resource generating abilities from any of the reveals in Diablo 4. Not just for the Necromancer, but for all the other classes too. So I'm definitely interested to see what other primary abilities that they have. So I know that they have this sweeping scythe ability, and I believe there's another like blood sucking ability too that generates corpses, and I'm pretty sure that generates your resource as well. But as far as I can remember just off the top of my head, I think that's all they've revealed so far, at least with the Necromancer's resource generating skills. But let's continue. There's the old Blood Wave. I love that skill. The Blood Wave skill is so fucking cool. I wonder if you can scale like the width of it and, you know, the duration. That'd be really cool. I really hope Diablo 4 gives us that type of customization. This is the Blight skill some more. Is it called Blight? I feel like it's called Blight. I don't really feel like stopping the video to go look it up, but we'll just call it Blight for now. It's the little white spermy skill that they throw out. That skill, the skill where he dismounts, is pretty cool looking. Okay, he's summoning the skeletons. Yeah, right now he's just got a big skeleton army. But look at them. Look at them. What is this aura on them? Why are they like pulsing with electricity? I know in some of the previous videos when we've seen the Necromancer summon some skeletons, it looks like they get summoned and then they'll like suicide. They'll run into enemies and blow up. I wonder if that's what's going on here. He's summoning them and then they're blowing up. Here, let's rewind a little bit, because why are they glowing like that? So, okay, look. So he's already got some skeletons here. I believe these are his pets. And they're not glowing or anything, right? They're just hanging out, unless if those are monsters or enemies, but I'm pretty sure those are his pets. Right? Yeah, and now they're glowing. They weren't glowing a second ago. So that's interesting. I wonder if that's some sort of buff that he threw on his pets. They don't seem to be blowing up. And now it's gone. That's cool. I actually really love the idea of like a summoner build where you make your summons and then like you cast an ability that buffs them for a duration. Maybe that's like some sort of ultimate ability, because that's something else that, as far as I'm aware, they haven't shared about the Necromancer yet, that I haven't seen any ultimate ability from the Necromancer. If you guys have been following any of my videos or any of my content that I've been making for Diablo 4 for the last year and a half or 2 years or however long it's been at this point, you would know that I'm not a huge fan of ultimate abilities, but, you know, for better or for worse, they're going to be in Diablo 4. I think in the only situation that ultimate abilities are really cool is PvP, because it kind of makes it, it turns it into sort of like a MOBA-like experience, which I've made videos on before about Diablo 4 and how I think the PvP in Diablo 4 is going to be MOBA-ish and actually going to be really, really, really good. And because of reasons like, you know, having ultimates. Yeah, we don't know anything about the Necromancer's ultimate, and maybe he has some that like buffs his minions. I would prefer it to be more of like a shorter cooldown ability that you can use more sparingly, but I do like that idea of having just a huge undead army, and then you can like cast spells to buff them periodically where they just do a bunch of damage. I would love that. I would probably play the shit out of that. All right, let's go. What is going on back there? Wait, what is shooting? Something looks like it's... You see that? Is that the mage? What is shooting from so far away? Those are the mages, right? Okay, yeah, those are the mages. Look how far they're shooting. My God, they're off screen and they're attacking. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they're so far away. Looks like he cursed them. We know Iron Maiden, the Iron Maiden curse is making a return in Diablo 4. That's interesting. Look, the pets are buffed again. What is he casting? Can you see what he's casting when he buffs them? Yeah, he does this. He raises his hand up and I can't tell. Were they already buffed when he did that? Okay, so I noticed while I was editing this video that the Necromancer is actually consuming a corpse to buff the minions, or at least that's what it looks like. So when he raises his hand up, you can see what looks to be like some sort of skeletal figure rise up out of a corpse on the ground, and it consumes that corpse. That corpse disappears afterwards, and then this aura appears on his minions. So it's kind of like the bone offering skills, right? With in Path of Exile, like those offering skills that consume corpses to buff your pets in some way. But yeah, I thought I'd just pause the video and point that out to you guys. But let's continue. Yeah, he raises his hand up like this, and he's buffing his pets or putting some sort of aura on them. But he looks like he did it at the very end of combat. I don't know if that's maybe he's healing them. Maybe that's what it is, because he didn't seem to do it while they were fighting. Which, if it was a buff that made them like attack faster and do more damage, then the smart thing to do would be to buff them in combat, not at the end of combat. Let's see if he does it again here. No, he's not doing it again. There's the Iron Golem. Dude, the Iron Golem is so sick. Look at that thing. That is so fucking cool. Okay, so this clip has some interesting things. So if you look at this clip, you can see that he's casting Bone Spear, which is not a surprise. We've seen, I mean, that's one of the skills they've shown a lot. But when it collides with terrain, it breaks off and will like launch back towards you in fragments, in like 3 separate fragments, which we have seen in some other clips where they cast a normal Bone Spear that just shoots straight, and then another one that'll shoot like a shotgun, like 3 in front of them. But we haven't seen this yet, where it hits a wall and then ricochets off and fragments into like smaller bits. This type of build seems like it could be really, really good so say if you have like a Necromancer build that is really good, it would be really good for like doing closed-in dungeons, specifically like this, right? Like, you know, so if you're doing nightmare dungeons and you have this build, maybe where you're hitting walls and you're like scaling how many projectiles you have that are breaking off the wall, maybe these types of dungeons are the ones you're really, really good at, and then open area dungeons, not so much, right? That's like not good for your particular build, which is fine. You can have specialized builds like that in Diablo 4, and I think that's really cool if it, you know, the game ends up playing out that way. Man, this game just the combat looks so satisfying. Which, you know, that's not a surprise, honestly. It's really not a surprise at all. Just a bunch of Bone Spear skills. Oh, look, a legendary item. Is that a legendary? Is that what that is? Is that what a legendary looks like when it drops? Ooh, but there's all these 3 little flames around it. So, okay. Wait. Does it blow up? Okay. So I thought maybe I was like, is this a legendary? But you see these 3 little flame markers here? There's a 1, 2, 3. It's like a triangle. And then you can see the flame shooting from the markers. It's almost like they're emitting from the center of that. But then it blows up here and that little marker is still there. So it's a legendary item. Now, is that a good or a bad thing that we're seeing a legendary item drop in this? Like, how common do we want legendaries to be? It's hard to say because we don't know. Like, this guy could be doing end game stuff. And if you think about it, like, if anyone here plays Path of Exile, I know a lot of people are like, man, I really don't want Diablo 3. And I don't either. I don't want to be showered with legendaries and set items and all that shit. I think it like desensitizes you to the dopamine hit of like, oh shit, a legendary, you know? But at the same time, just imagine a game like Path of Exile, which everyone is constantly comparing all the other ARPGs to. Oh, Path of Exile this, Path of Exile that. Yes, Path of Exile is a great game, but Path of Exile also showers you with tons and tons of legendary items and shit. So it's like, especially if you're playing in groups, right? Like if you guys have ever seen any videos of these people playing together where there's like, 4 or 5 people in a group or however many can be in a group and PoE, and they're just literally like, you can't even see the screen. It's just filled with stuff. The thing is in Path of Exile though, is that legendary items, they don't really build your character out, right? Like most people aren't running around in a full set of legendaries at the end game. They're usually wearing a bunch of rares, maybe a handful of legendaries here and there, unless if you're playing some like, headhunter, ridiculous build, whatever. My point is, we see a legendary item here. The guy obviously doesn't pick it up, but is it concerning that we see legendary? Is this like sort of telling? Like, oh, look in this little gameplay reveal, we see a legendary item here. And we might see another one later on in the video, but I don't know, man. It could just be a coincidence. I don't think it's a big deal to see a legendary item every once in a while, especially since we have to keep in mind that Diablo 4 will also have unique items. So there are legendary items, right? And with their legendary powers, and you can pretty much expect end game, you're going to be wearing a full set of legendaries. Like that's what your character is going to be, right? You're going to have all legendary items and then probably one unique item. And we really just don't know how rare the unique item is going to be, right? So I don't think it's a huge deal that legendaries might be a little bit more common. As long as uniques are, more rare. I'm just looking at the AI of the pets. The golem looked a little wonky there for a second. Okay, you see what I'm saying? You can see him shooting 3. So right here, you can see him shooting 3 bone spears. Oops, a little bit further back. So he shoots the one. I think he shoots a couple like single ones, and then you can see he's shooting 3. Right here, 3, and then 1, 1, 1. So at first he was shooting the 3. That is what we saw in the other videos, in the other reveal videos. There's another legendary item underneath his feet. So he saw 2 legendary items within like 20 seconds. So I would say either this is a clip of him being very lucky, or this is what we can expect in Diablo 4. This is how often we can expect to see legendary items, and it's a little concerning, right? It's just, we don't know. We don't know how much of a character's power is going to be tied to like needing legendary powers, right? So they might need to be like a pretty regular drop. The thing is just because legendary items are common, it doesn't mean that rare items aren't going to be necessary or aren't going to be sought after, because the thing is, we'll be able to strip a legendary affix off of an item and put it on a rare item. So looking for rare items should still matter in the late game as well. It's just a matter of what rare items you want to look for at what time. And we do know that these nightmare dungeons will allow you to target farm things like helmets, gloves, whatever. If you need a pair of gloves and you desperately need a pair of gloves, you can farm these dungeons that specifically will drop more gloves or whatever, and you can farm that and pick up all the rare gloves you find and hope you find some with good affixes that you need. And if you already have the legendary power lying around, you can strip it and throw it on that item. It's just a matter of how expensive will it be, right? Because there's going to be an item that allows you to strip these legendaries and strip these legendary affixes rather, and put them on these rare items. And we don't know like how rare that item is going to be. But hopefully it's semi-rare. I would hope it's pretty, like, I kind of hope it's really rare, right? Not really rare, but you know what I mean. Like, maybe you don't see it that much at all through your leveling experience and through into the in the early end game. And it's one of those things where once you can like do harder content, you might see it a little bit more frequently. But I don't want it to be where you just have tons of them, so you're not really ever thinking about, oh, should I use this item right now to strip this legendary affix or not? You know, I like to have things a little bit more rare. Okay, so this whole, ooh, there's a little trappy hit there. So yeah, a lot of this scene is corpse explosions and bone spears. Nothing crazy. I don't really see the Iron Golem doing anything. He's punching the ground really hard. I really hope that they do something interesting with the Iron Golem, right? I hope it's not just like a visual thing. I really want them to do the Diablo 2 Iron Golem justice. Because like I said in my other videos, I feel like the Iron Golem is one of the coolest abilities in Diablo 2, but it just it wasn't implemented very well. And I feel like this is their chance, you know? God, there's some wonkiness. Look at there's some real wonkiness with the Iron Golem. Watch the way it moves. Down here in the corner, it like gets stuck for a second, and then it like turns, and it's like really kind of glitchy looking. You guys, hopefully you can see it. My camera might block it. Yeah, wait, can you see that? Yeah, you can see that, I think. So he goes in the corner, and he like gets stuck, and then he like turns, and his animation's like robotic as shit. Right here. I saw that before. There was another point in this gameplay reveal where he did the same thing. It looked kind of weird. Honestly, the golems seem underwhelming. Don't really see them doing anything that seems impactful. You know what I mean? They're like meat shields. But at the same time, the Necromancer seems to be always in the fray. Like he's in the front, you know? Ooh, what was that? That's like Diablo's move from Heroes of the Storm. More corpse explosions. Look at all these corpses. So many corpses. There's that glitch again. The Iron Golem being glitchy. I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of attack that the enemies are doing that makes him move that way. But it looks to me like it's just not 100% polished. There's that legendary item. He's running past it again. He seems to be doing a lot of damage. I mean, he's just one-shotting these things with his bone spear. Don't stand there. Oh, he killed it? So I guess it didn't go off? Interesting. That's kind of cool, actually. So there's an enemy that casts this ability that looks like, if you guys have ever played Heroes of the Storm, Diablo in Heroes of the Storm has this ability where he puts a pentagram under everybody's feet where their current location is. And then after like a fucking 1.5 second delay or whatever it is, like 1.25 second delay, it blows up for a good amount of damage. I don't remember if it stuns you or not. I think it might stun you. That's irrelevant. But it looks like that ability, right? So right here, it goes off under his feet. And it looks like it's about to blow up. And then I guess they kill whoever cast it and it stops, which is cool because in the previous, like 20 seconds ago, we saw that ability and it actually blew up. So that's cool. That's actually, if that's a way you can play this game, like, you know, you can either commit, right? Like, I'm not going to move. I'm going to commit to killing this thing, and take my chances, or I'm going to get out of this circle and then, you know, reposition and then kill him. That's like something you have to think about on the fly. Do I have enough damage to kill this thing before its abilities go off? Or should I move and then kill it? You know, I kind of like that. If, you know, that sort of decision making comes into play while playing D4. And then we get some PvP footage. There's some stuff with PvP that I really like. I like that the abilities are all red from enemies, like people that you're not teamed with. So like if you're fighting, so if you have a sorcerer on your team and you're fighting another sorcerer and they're using similar abilities, you can tell them apart because the enemy's abilities are always going to have that red hue to them. I also have noticed in this reveal video and some of the other reveal stuff that they show when you are being CC'd, I think it's what it is. It looks like a foot with a shackle, like a chain on it, and it shows up above the enemy's head. It should show that. right at the beginning of this scene here. See that? It's a foot with like a chain on it. So because they're rooted in place. I don't know if that's going to be the universal sign for every type of CC. So if you're slowed, it'll show up, or if it's just going to be for like roots and stuns, or maybe it's just the root one. But yeah, there's kind of a lot going on here. This is just the barbarian. We're watching this from the barbarian's perspective. I'm not really seeing anything. What is this? That's a sorceress? Why do they look like a necromancer? Yeah, it looks like a bunch of sorceresses. This barbarian's just kicking the shit out of them. I love it. Barbarians look like fun. I gotta say, when I do watch prolonged gameplay footage like this in Diablo 4, I am concerned. I am slightly concerned that the game doesn't have... It looks like classes don't have that many skills. It could just be that they don't want to show them all off yet because either one, they're not all ready, which is probably true, and two, they just want to leave some surprises up for us when we like play the game. But I do feel like when I watch a lot of the gameplay stuff that these classes are using the same abilities they've been showing since the reveal of Diablo 4, which is like 2 years ago, I think, by now. So maybe even close to 3 years. I don't know. It's been a while. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little concerned by that, but maybe, yeah, maybe they just want to save some stuff for later to share, you know. Look at this. The barbarian is victorious. Everyone's dead. I do like the health. So you know how the Diablo 3 used to have health globes? Now they have these little health potions, which is another thing that they had in Heroes of the Storm. You can play Deckard Cain in Heroes of the Storm, and he's a support healer character. And what he does is he throws potions on the ground. That's what this makes me think of. Heroes of the Storm is a fun game. Kind of sad that they gave up on it. Sometimes I wonder if they're working on a new MOBA. We just don't know about it yet. Here's some more PvP. This time we have the Necromancer. That skill, okay, so this skill is new. The Barbarian has this whip that he just like spins over his head, and the AoE is massive. It's like half the screen. I think he does it a couple times here. It's a really cool looking skill. So we have the Necromancer. He's going in and doing his Bone Spear stuff, but look at this. Whoosh. Look at that, dude. Like the whole screen. What does that even do? And then there's another skill, that Barbarian. We probably have seen it before. It's hard to remember every little gameplay reveal thing that I've seen, but Barbarian also does this thing where he shoots out 3 chains, which kind of makes me think of the Butcher from like Diablo 3. And I can't tell. It doesn't look like it pulls enemies to you, but it probably does, if I had to guess. Yeah, he does it again there. He shoots out 3 chains. And then we have the Druid with his, what this looks like his Hurricane ability or something. There's that Snake ability with the Sorceress. That Snake ability with the Sorceress, I know a lot of people see that, and they're like, wow, that is so impressive. That's so cool. I think it's cool, but there's something about it, and I said this when they first revealed the ability like 6 months ago. It looks a little weird, like it needs shadowing or something. Like, is that just me? It almost looks like the skill is painted on top of the world. I can't explain it. It doesn't look like, it just looks like it needs some shading or something, right? You watch the skill, whoosh. It doesn't look like it, I can't explain it. It just looks a little strange, like it needs some sort of depth or some shadow to it, some shadowing to it. But I'm not a game designer, and I'm definitely not an artist, so what the fuck do I know? See, he's rooted again there. There's so much going on here, it's kind of hard to see. I'm not really seeing anything new with the Necromancer. I am curious how Iron Maiden's going to play out in PvP. Because, you know, Iron Maiden in Diablo 2, before they removed it from... Because, you know, the Doom Knights, I believe, and the Chaos Sanctuary and stuff, they used to be able to cast Iron Maiden. And if you had Iron Maiden cast on you and you attacked as like a barbarian, you would literally one-shot yourself. You know, you'd kill yourself very, very fast. And so I wonder how they're going to balance that in this game, or if they are, you know, like, or if people or melee characters are just going to have to be careful to not one-shot themselves. Look, there's Hydra. I saw Hydra. So Sorceress can cast Hydra. I think that's the first time I've seen that. Wow, it looks so... I was hoping... So I'm not a huge fan of the Sorceress class in really any of the Diablos. Just not my thing, really. I don't like it in Diablo 2. I don't really like it in Diablo 3. Funny enough, I kind of like it in Diablo 1. But in this... what I'm trying to say is the only thing that I do like, or one thing that I really, really like about the Sorceress in Diablo 2 is the Hydra spell. And I was hoping they would bring that back in this game. And I think this is the first time I've seen it. I may have seen it before and forgotten about it, but you can see it right here. Right there. Hydra. That's so cool, man. They look so cool. I can see myself doing a Hydra build. There's some more back there too. Some more here. Man, I love that. I love the way they look. Looks like this Sorceress is just a full-on fire build. He's got the snake skill. He's got the Hydra skill. He's got the meteors. Look at this boss fight too. You see how it's summoning all these little I don't even know what you call them, like stalactites or these rocks or whatever. I mean, they're not in a cave, so, but you know what I mean. Like these little like rock formations. It's like a raid boss, like a raid encounter. Now, oh, look at this. Look at this. The Sorceress had a little, like a flame shield around her. I haven't seen that before either. Right here. Yeah, right there. See it? She's got a little flame shield. That's interesting. So we know we've seen like the ice block skill from the Sorceress. And I think I may have actually seen some clips of the Sorceress going into that ice block form and being able to move around. I'm not 100% sure on that. I could just be making that up. But here is the flame, some sort of flame shield. And this is exactly what I was talking about. I made a whole video talking about Diablo 4, the defense stat. And you know how everyone was so upset about, oh, Diablo 4 has defense, attack and defense. It's so boring. It's so one-dimensional. And at first glance, yeah, it does seem that way, right? But if you actually take a step back and think about it, it's not a bad thing to have a defense stat that is like a very generic stat that applies to everybody, because for one, it doesn't overcomplicate the game. Because if you look at a game like Path of Exile, you have, dodge, you have block, you have armor, you have evasion, you have energy shield, you have fortify, you have all these like layers of defense, right? But then they're all balanced in such a way where you almost need them all, right? Or they're just like overly complicated. Some end up being way stronger than others, right? And it's like hard to balance them all. And there's like all these issues with that. But in Diablo 4, since not everybody can use every single skill, they hopefully won't have as much of a problem with that, because you will have class-specific defensive abilities, like whatever this Sorceress is using here, for instance. And that is good, because if they say the first season for Diablo 4 releases and they're like, oh wow, this flame shield that the Sorceress is using is way too strong, they can tone that down, and it only affects the Sorceress. It doesn't affect every other character and every other build in the game like it would in a game like Path of Exile. And you still have defense, that defense layer or that defense stat that is on items that exists for everybody to tap into, and it won't be affected either. And so basically what I'm saying, it's cool to see some of these defensive abilities that I haven't seen before. This fight is really cool, though. The animations, they did such a good job with the animations. He dies here, it looks like. Is he dead? No, he's not dead. He's just stunned. You guys see these little treasure goblins? There are some things from Diablo 3 that I love that they're bringing back. Like treasure goblins? Who the fuck doesn't like treasure goblins, I like them. And the fact that, like, you had... I know that the whole whimsical world in Diablo was a little weird, right? But I will admit, there was something about coming across the like whimsy world in D3, and it was exciting, like to come across that. Or another thing that I really liked about Diablo 3, and this might be a little weird, but in D3 you have these little pets that follow you around and they pick up the gold. I don't necessarily want that in Diablo 4. I'm not saying I want that. One thing one thing that I did like was that you could come across these treasure goblins that dropped specifically these pets that would pick up these things for you. And they were very rare. Like, you wouldn't come across them all that often. And I loved the idea of like finding one, like, oh shit, I found one, and then getting a pet that's like pretty rare. Like, and even though it's just a cosmetic thing, I thought that was fun. Like, oh, I have this pet that this other person doesn't have. It kind of reminds me of like hideouts in Path of Exile. There are certain maps that offer you certain hideouts, but they're not guaranteed. So you can run a certain map hundreds and hundreds of times and never get that hideout, but somebody else could run it 2 times, get that hideout, and then they can just go brag to their friends that they own that hideout. I love stuff like that. That's why I think a lot of people hate things like MTX so much, because it kind of removes that layer of excitement from video games, because all the cool things are locked behind money and shit, you know. But yeah, I would love to see stuff like that making a return. But yeah, we get to see 2 treasure goblins here pop out at the bottom and the top. So I guess that might be an indicator that they are making a return in D4. There's one there, one there. I love it, man. Love to see it. They just ignore them. I mean, I guess, what are you going to do? You know? I guess if you can CC them, the idea would be that you CC them the second they come out of the portal. And then this is so cool. Comes out of one portal and goes into one portal, comes out another. I'm having a hard time looking at all the skills and stuff right now, because I'm just watching the mechanics of this boss fight. So look at all these rocks on the ground. Are they supposed to be destroying these rocks? Because they're not doing it. Look at them. They just all blew up. Look at all that. So, I mean, were they just ignoring the mechanics? Also, there's these little pools on the ground that were left after the explosions, but there were way more rocks than there are pools on the ground, right? Yeah. So what leaves a pool on the ground? How come only some of them did? What is this? Oh, that's the blizzard spell, I think, from the Sorceress. Yeah. And that's another golem. Yeah, a lot of the skills we're seeing a lot of the same skills we've seen. You know, I want to see more from the druid too. The druid, as far as I'm aware, the druid is the only class that they haven't given us any information on about their class-specific mechanic, right? So the Necromancer has the Book of the Dead. The Necromancer has the Book of the Dead. The Sorceress has the enchantment system. The Barbarian has the arsenal system. The Rogue has some system that I can't think of off the top of my head. I think they can choose between like 3 different styles or some shit where they have like combo points and something else and something else. I think. I can't remember off the top of my head. We don't know what the druids is. I don't know. They kind of haven't really been talking about the druid like at all during the course of just D4's development. It's kind of strange. It was like one of the only classes the streamers could play at BlizzCon, I think. But then they haven't really done anything else with it or shared anything else about it. But I do love the druid class, and I'm very glad it's making a return in D4. I feel like I'm missing something in this video. Wasn't there... I could have sworn there was something in this video where they talk about the Book of the Dead. Is that not this video? So they are victorious. Back to the cave. This looks like the intro footage, maybe. Oh no, there's a bone golem here. The golems just, they don't really do anything, right? Like, at least combat-wise, they don't seem to be doing much. Why do I feel like I'm missing something here? Well, guys, you know, I thought that there was a section in this video where we got to see some stuff about the Book of the Dead. I think I'm going crazy. I'm going to have to look a little bit harder, but I swear there is some footage out there. I thought it was this video from Game Informer that had some Book of the Dead things in it, that showed some more interesting information about the Book of the Dead, like how you can sacrifice all your pets for certain buffs. I think you can sacrifice one, like your bone golem, to get like 10% increased attack speed or whatever. It's very, very, very basic looking right now, and I really hope that over, you know, from here until release that they, you know, reiterate on it and add more complexity to it, because it is a little basic, or at the very least, it doesn't have to be complex, but more options, because it looks very bare bones at the moment. That's why I was hoping that we'd see that in this, but I think I'm just taking crazy pills. Maybe we can find the video where that is. If anybody who watches this knows where that video is, I'd appreciate it if you could let me know in the comments, and we'll just do another video on that. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and let me know what you guys think about the state of Diablo 4. Until the next one, see you later.